2005 Ford F-150 four-wheel drive wheel bearing replacement. I'm Brian Esser from How To Automotive. I'm going to walk you through the steps of replacement. First thing we're going to do is get our vehicle racked up in the air. If you're doing this at home, use floor jacks and jack stands and remove your wheel. This process is going to be the same for the left and the right side. So the first thing we're going to do is remove the caliper and bracket here and rotor. We're going to remove the two bolts on the back of the caliper. We're not going to remove the caliper bolts, but we're going to remove the inner bolts here and right here. Remove those two bolts. So I'm working on the driver's side here, so I slightly turn the wheel to the right to give me a little more access to the bolts. And I'm just going to remove them with my impact gun and an 18mm socket. Now I'm just going to slide the caliper off, and I'm going to use a bungee cord and hook it into the caliper like this, and I'm going to hook it on the suspension and hang it. Now you're going to slip the rotor off and set it aside for now. Your wheel bearing is going to come with a new ABS sensor, but we need to pop it out. So you're going to pop it out of the little groove, pop it off the caliper here. Keep following it up and popping it out of the little grommets that hold it on, and then you're going to follow it up and you're going to unplug it. This car it's been lifted and it has the fender wells taken out, so you may have to open the hood to get to the electrical connector for the sensor, but you're going to unplug it. Once your wire loom is free like this, the next step is you're going to remove it. There's supposed to be a cap on here, a little dust cap. This one's missing, but so you would remove the cap with a pair of pliers and maybe a screwdriver and pop it off, and you're going to remove the nut here. After removing the nut, you're going to remove the 18mm bolt here and here, and then on the opposite side there's going to be two more 18mm bolts here and then one a little higher over here. You're going to remove all four of those nuts and the bolts. Now with a large hammer like this, you're going to tap the back of the hub here and drive the bearing out of the spindle here. And you're going to use your other hand to hold it and catch it because it's going to pop out. So after striking with the hammer a few times right back here, as you can see, I got the gap. Now I'm able to just slide the old bearing off. Now I'm just going to clean out any excess dirt and debris inside the hub here with a rag. So now we need to prep our bearing for reinstallation. So what you're going to want to do is have some blue thread locker, or Loctite is another brand, but here at How To Automotive we use Permanex thread locker. And if you don't have this, I'll have a link for this in the description of this video for it, so you can get it. And I'll also have a link for the parts in the description. So you're going to put a little dab of this on there on the threads, and that helps the bolts prevents the bolts from backing back out. So now I slid the bearing back on. You also want to make sure that your wheel speed sensor is on the correct side, so the wires route through like that. So I slid it on, and I just kind of started the little nut on the end of the axle. And you got to kind of wiggle it and position it, and you may even have to shake the axle with your hand on the back, kind of rock it a little bit to get everything lined up, and then push it all on until it's all flush. Once the hub is pretty much drawn up all the way, then you're going to start your bolts from the back side, and what you're going to do is you're going to tighten them down in a crisscross pattern. So you're going to start tightening this one, and then you'll do the one below on the opposite side, and you'll draw that in a little bit until it's completely flush. And then after it's all flush, you're going to tighten it in a like an X pattern. So the top right here, the bottom left, then the top left, and then the bottom right. And you're going to torque those to 148 foot-pounds. After tightening up the four bolts on the hub, then you go ahead and tighten up the bolt on the axle here, and go ahead and put your cap back on. So I couldn't find a spec for this center nut here, so just go ahead and snug it up, snug, and then put your cap back on. And then after you do that, and then you're going to take your speed sensor here and plug it back in. So you're going to reroute it through all the little grommets, reroute it through everything, and plug it in. Now you can slip your rotor back on and put and use a lug nut to hold the rotor in place. Now we're going to take the brake pads and the caliper and just make sure that they didn't move at all, and just kind of push them back just in case they did. And now we're going to slip the caliper back on, but you're going to make sure that your brake hose doesn't get twisted in this process. So you'll slide it on over the rotor. You're also going to want to put some of that blue thread locker, the Permanex. So after you get the caliper slid back on, make sure the line is not twisted, and you start the top bolt and the bottom bolt, you can go ahead and torque these down to 148 foot-pounds. So after you get the bolts torqued up on the caliper brackets here, that'll pretty much complete the job of replacing the wheel bearings on a 2005 Ford F-150 with the four-wheel drive. I'm Brian Essa from How To Automotive. I'd like to thank you guys for watching my videos. Encourage you to head over to the howtoautomotive.com website for more valuable videos like this, and also to remind you to click in the description for any links for parts or tools you may need in this video. Thank you again for watching.